new episode of Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show. I'm your host, Manoj Agarwal, and today we'll be talking with Chukky Okobi. So, Chucky is a former American football center drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the fifth round of 2001 NFL draft. He played college football at Purdue. Chucky earned a Super Bowl ring, and those of who are among the international audience, Super Bowl is like one of the biggest honor an athlete can earn. So he got that ring with the Steelers in Super Bowl XL, which I don't know what that stands for. We'll ask Chucky against Seattle Seahawks. He also has been a member of the Arizona Cardinals and Houston Texans. Now, Chucky is a certified Master NLP trainer and practitioner. With his brand, Basic Instructions, he helps executives, athletes, and others to access the resources within themselves to achieve the life experience they desire. Chucky designs NLP training and sales strategies for companies based on NLP techniques. Chucky has excelled in many fields. He found success in college and professional sports, as a business and entertainment entrepreneur, and as a member of the Screen Actors Guild. Having learned from his life experiences as well as his professional experiences, Chucky uses his acquired wisdom to help other people so that they can learn and excel in their life as well. Chucky is also a real estate entrepreneur and a partner in City Ventures, a dynamic investment and development company with a vision to see possibilities, the expertise to chart the path to success, as well as capital, relationships, commitment to see it through. Um, Chucky's companies have been named by Inc. 5000 as some of the fastest growing companies, privately held companies in the country. Welcome, Chucky.
I appreciate being here. Thanks for the opportunity to share
Absolutely,
my
absolutely. So,
story.
you've had tremendous success in many fields. So, let's first get to know you and learn a little bit about your journey. I mean, going into the NFL, winning the Super Bowl. Only a handful of people on this face of this planet can claim that. So, how was that journey like? Uh, Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the big thing is a lot of times we see, professional sports is so flashy, a lot of pomp and circumstance, and a lot of people who don't have the opportunity to experience that in their own life may presume that that the glitz, the glamour, the fame is the motivation for people to want to play professional sports. Personally, my journey started with a desire to be loved and appreciated. In that, I grew up in a home where my parents, they didn't really get along, and so there was a lot of fighting, a lot of drama in the household. And all of a sudden, as a small child who's just making his way in the world, figuring out life for himself, I didn't feel like I was being heard or I was being seen, as if my needs weren't really that important. And so, to escape from all the drama, all the negative energy, my go-to was to go outside and play with my brothers, friends from the neighborhood. We would play different sports. And what I realized is all of a sudden, what I felt was lacking at home, I found in sports. All of a sudden, not only was I not feeling as if I was insignificant, but I was somebody that people looked to, admired, somebody who was a leader within the context of that team, which was like a surrogate for the family.
Yeah.
And I realized that, as long as I can do this the rest of my life, I will be able to feel the self-worth and the love that I felt that I deserved. And so that became my focus at about age 7. And, holding on to that picture of success, what I determined to be success, which really had nothing to do with the glitz and glamour or the money. It was about how I felt about myself.
Yeah.
And, being determined to reach my potential as a man, in sports just being a vehicle to do that, and never wavering on my desire or my aim, is what I really attribute to achieving my specific desired result. Again, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So you can imagine, for a 7-year-old kid, his specific desired result, the perfect result, would be to play for his favorite team growing up in his hometown and to bring a championship home. And so I really feel like focusing on that vibration of love and self-love and self-worth is what enabled me to do something so great.
That's amazing, and you know what? Like, we have had many successful people on this podcast, and I think there is a common theme where they face a huge challenge in life, and in order to overcome that challenge, they find that they can transcend many difficult challenges that are in front of them. So I mean, the drive you got to feel worthy is a good is a good motivation, but obviously it still doesn't get you as far as you have gone. So how did you keep pushing yourself? You obviously you had to overcome other challenges, training and getting picked for a a major league major team. These are not easy things. So
Mhm.
thousands and thousands of people try, but only handful of them make it. So how
Right.
did you keep pushing yourself and got to where you are today?
Well, as a coach now, coaching people on, mental and emotional discipline
Mhm.
in business and in life, one belief that I subscribed to a long time ago, can't even really pinpoint when in the past that I adopted this, is that the challenge is the way. And so,
Mhm.
so think about this, since, football is a major part of my life story. I think back to when I was speaking to high school football team in Nebraska years ago. And I asked them all, I said, have you guys heard of the San Francisco 49ers? Now they laughed at me like I was crazy. And
Mhm.
they're like, yeah, they heard of it. And I said, okay, so do you know why they're called the 49ers?
Mhm.
Silence.
Mhm.
Nobody knew. I said, okay, let me explain this. You go back to 1848, 1849, the big gold rush here in America, in that Bay Area. So people from all over the kind of United States were making their way to California to get that gold, to get their treasure, to get that thing that was going to change their life. They were
Mhm.
so determined, but this is 1848. This is the 19th century. There's no planes, there's no trains, there's no automobiles. In order for people from Florida and Texas and Maryland and Massachusetts to get there, they had to walk. They had to brave the elements,
Yeah, yeah.
carry everything that they owned to walk to California to
Mhm.
get what was theirs, to get
Yeah,
their prize.
yeah.
Now imagine if you're walking across the country, a trip in which people were born and people died on these trips. You're walking across the country, you're almost there to the West Coast. As soon as you cross Kansas into Colorado, you see this 14,000-foot peak, big
Mhm.
mountains everywhere. And you're like, this is a challenge.
Mhm.
But what I want is just on the other side.
Mhm.
So we got to look at that thing that we label a challenge as a mile marker. It
Mhm.
actually tells you you're going in the right direction.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
think about this: if I was going north, like
yeah,
going to Winnipeg, if I was going south to Austin,
yeah.
those mountains don't mean anything.
Exactly,
It
exactly.
only means something because it's on the way to your goal. So the
Yeah.
goal, the obstacle or the challenge is actually a sign that you're close. And
Mhm.
so adopting that belief really changes your mindset and the story you're telling yourself as you approach that challenge.
Yeah,
Is all of a sudden, instead of looking at it like, oh no, this mountain's here. What are
yeah,
we gonna do? I guess we should go back. Now the story's more like, how am I maybe I can get over these mountains, or maybe there's a way to go around it, or
mhm.
maybe I can find a path so I can just walk straight through.
Absolutely.
Once I figure out how to transverse this mountain, I'm gonna get what I want. So
Yeah.
the challenge actually is something that I invite, and it gets me excited because I know it's once I figure this out, that
Yeah,
gold is mine.
yeah, that's very well said. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't look at challenges as an opportunity, but it seems like you've clearly identified that rule. Any challenge can actually be, and in fact, it's almost always is an opportunity hidden. Now let's take it further. Now you have crossed the mountain, you have experienced the rush of winning a Super Bowl. That I cannot even. I mean, obviously, there is no way for anybody else to relate to that feeling that you must have felt, which is basically being on the top of the world. So, how did that feel like, first of all? And I will ask a follow up question after that.
What's really funny is obviously, all these years later, I don't necessarily consider myself a football player now, but it's always going to precede me, and it's something I'm very proud of.
Yeah, yeah,
And so a lot of times people wonder when they first meet me, I wonder what that would feel like for
yeah,
me to win the Super Bowl.
yeah.
What they don't recognize is that it's a feeling you already know. That as a
Mm,
matter of fact, you're already very intimately familiar with it. Just think
mhm.
about memories in the past, times, those memories that gave you that feeling in your stomach, those
Yeah, yeah,
butterflies,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
feeling of excitement right there.
yeah,
The moments in the past that made your pulse race and your breath shallow, and you hear your heart beating like a jackhammer in your ears. You see those things now, the aromas, the flavors that took you to levels of satisfaction and fulfillment that felt so right.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
almost feels wrong. But it's the kind of thing you can't stop thinking about because it feels so good. So it just goes round and round in your mind like a vinyl record, obsessing. And you just want more and more and more. And if you can just envision that in your mind right now, well, then you know what it feels like to win the Super Bowl. And so a lot of what I do is help people to reach what I call their Super Bowl level success. That feeling. So just because you don't play sports, just because you never don't play football, doesn't mean you can't feel that same Super Bowl feeling in your family. It doesn't mean you can't feel that same Super Bowl sensation as a startup founder, as a husband, as a mentor, as a parent. You can bring that feeling into your life in any aspect. It just so happens that my goal from a very young age was to win the Super Bowl. So I got to experience it literally, but it doesn't mean that you can't feel that good about your life.
No, that's very well said. Very well said. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so after winning that Super Bowl, you went on to become a very, very successful coach and entrepreneur. And, I didn't even know that you were in the Actors Guild. So how did you find new challenges and the desire to keep on going?
One of the biggest things that people, NFL players especially, when they leave the sport is most people know this, but maybe don't consciously recognize it, that we as human beings, especially in this country, we identify ourselves by what we do, by our careers. If I fight fires all the time, well, then I'm a firefighter. If I teach people all the time, then I'm a teacher. And so when you think about an NFL player, a lot of these guys have been playing this sport since they were 7 years old. And all of a sudden, you're 27, 28, 29 years old, and you're retired, which in any other field is unheard of. And so now you're looking for a new rhythm, a new way to express yourself, a new way to define who you are and the value you could bring to the world. Now, I'm going to just speak for other football players. And all of us were good at something else growing up. There was something else you were really good at. It might have been school. It might have been building things. You might have been the class clown. You might have been funny. And there's other aspects to who you are as a man, as a human being. And so once that project, that NFL project, I made it, I stayed, I won a championship. Now it's like, where else can I bring value to people? And so you try a number of different things. And so long as you take the same mentality, seeing the challenge as actually the way that if I see this challenge and it looks like it's something that I'll call difficult, even though it's not difficult, that's just the story that you're telling yourself. So it's not necessarily difficult. It just lets me know that that feeling that I'm looking for, that feeling of fulfillment, is just on the other side of this challenge. So you can never predict the future. You don't know if it's something that's going to fulfill you the same way until you give it a try. Until you literally shut out the rest of the world, focusing your mind on what you want to achieve in this particular field, and give it your all. Open yourself up to learn a new way of thinking, looking at your career and yourself in a different way. Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at start to change. And all of a sudden, you find out you have more talents that you didn't even realize were laying dormant inside. Just because you gave yourself an opportunity to see if I can really do this.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, I mean, that line you just said, that if you look at things differently, things change. That's very, very deep right there. So coming to the present now, you are an NLP practitioner, master. Did you learn? Why don't we start by just explaining a little bit about what NLP is, so that the audience can really understand that?
NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So let's just break down the word. It sounds like this complex thing, and I'll tell you the story about how I was introduced to it about almost a quarter century ago, about 24 years ago. But what Neuro-Linguistic Programming, just break the word down. Neuro refers to your neurology or your brain or mind. Linguistic, that refers to language, just language, linguistics, language. And then programming refers to how that neural language functions. So really what NLP is about is understanding how language affects the way our brain operates, which then in turn affects the way we experience our reality. And so for me, NLP back when I was in college, see, I was a highly celebrated athlete as a collegiate athlete and as a professional athlete, but not as a high school athlete. I didn't have a lot of opportunities, and I only had one scholarship offer to Purdue University, which is a good one to have. It's a Big Ten school. Wasn't necessarily the best in the conference back then, but I saw my opportunity. I get to be on television, play against Michigan, Ohio State, and this will give me an opportunity to get my desired result. So I went the first year. Coach Jim Coletto, who gave me my scholarship, before that first season ended, he resigned, and I had like an emotional break because remember, I had a vision, and Coach Coletto was going to be my Obi-Wan Kenobi. He was going to show me the way to be great, and all of a sudden he was gone. So you could just imagine the feeling of like losing a parent, walking out. And all of a sudden I'm out here in Indiana. I've never been to that state before, by myself. And every day I would just go and have these panic attacks and just cry to myself, what am I going to do? What's going to happen? The future is over. And I got to a point where I got sick of feeling that way. I just got tired to say, you can't keep going on like this. I'm already here. I'm already enrolled in this institution. I have a scholarship. I'm on this football team. I have to make this opportunity work. But I need an advantage. So I figured everybody's lifting weights. Everybody's running. Everybody's doing the same things to prepare to win in football. Here's the thing. I'm doing the same things. That doesn't give me an advantage. I need something more. I need something different that other players on my team, other players in other schools, they don't know about. So I decided to look in the trash. That was my initial thought. And so I went to this used bookstore thinking I will find something here that nobody knows about. It's all stuff people didn't want. So I'm looking through the books and I found this book. And I kid you not, the title of the book jumped off the shelf of me, and it was called The Secret to Creating Your Future by Dr. Tad James. And the book was about accelerated human change, mental performance, and neuro-linguistic programming. And that's when I was first introduced to it. So I sat on the ground, started reading the book, and I had no clue what this guy was talking about. I was 18 years old and I was completely confused. Put the book down, it was sitting on the floor, started to get up, but it was like it was just glowing at me. The secret to creating your future. I said, I need to know this secret. So I sat down and said, if I just keep going deeper, and reading and get deeper into this, it'll make sense. And I kept reading it, and all of a sudden it clicked, and it just hit me like a punch in the chest. I was like, whoa, I think I get this. What he's saying is your whole entire world is not out there. It's actually in your mind. And once you learn neuro-linguistic programming, the language of how the mind works, you can actually control what's going on in your mind. So at 18, I was able to connect these dots. And I said, so with this neuro-linguistic programming stuff, I can learn to control what's in my mind, which means I can learn to control my world. And that's how I got my specific desired result, is I took control of my mind. And so that's what really led me to start working with startup founders and entrepreneurs, because there's a lot of parallels between being a professional athlete and being a startup founder. I mean, think about it.
Absolutely.
You've got this dream, right? You've got this vision for yourself to do something that other people don't have the fortitude in their gut to do this. Your friends and family think you're crazy, telling you, I don't know if you're never going to make it. Right? But here you are every day, blood, sweat, and tears, putting your everything into making your dream happen, right? And all the time, you're not really sure. The percentages are low. Not a lot of people can do what you're trying to do, but you're convinced that this is your way. So am I talking about an athlete, or am I talking about a startup founder?
Yeah, it could be anyone.
It's the same thing. And so that's the thing, is we're dreamers. Entrepreneurs are dreamers. And a lot of times as athletes, we believe that our talent was in football. It's not. The talent is in manifestation. This is a dream I saw in my head at age 7, and I brought it into real life. Startup founders, whether you're in a tech company, whether you're starting something in the electric vehicle space, if it's something in space travel, you've got a vision in your head and you want to bring it into the world. It's the same thing. And so that's why founders come to me, because they realize that I get them.
Amazing.
I get it. And they wonder how can I create that kind of success in my business?
Yeah.
Neuro-linguistic programming might be the way.
Absolutely. No, I could not agree more. I've been into these things myself. I have practitioner level certification myself in NLP, and it just works wonderfully. But let me ask you, when I talk to a lot of people about this stuff, they don't believe it. In most cases, they don't believe it. They'll say, "Oh, this mumbo jumbo doesn't work. This is like the secret, whatever." What do you say to people who don't believe in this kind of stuff?
Oh, I'll tell you another story
Yeah.
about something that happened. It was actually the year we won the Super Bowl in Pittsburgh,
Hmm.
and Coach Bill Cowher, who's in the Hall of Fame, just went in this year, and we had just lost 3 games in a row. And if we
Hmm.
lost one more, we weren't going to make the playoffs. So our dreams of winning the Super Bowl would have been over. And
Yeah.
so all of a sudden, guys were really confident, but we had confusion. Some people had fear, even though we're saying all the right things in the media. Coach Cowher had a pulse. He knows his guys, and he could feel the energy of the group. And so he came in after we lost that 3rd game, came into the meeting, and he said, "Guys, you don't know what you don't know." And think about this for a moment. Since you don't know what you don't know, you don't realize that what you don't know is what's running the show right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, since you don't know what you don't know, think about this. How do you know what you think you know is right?
Hmm.
Don't
Hmm.
answer me, just contemplate this. You don't know what you don't know. So, to me, that's like saying, I don't know anything about being a 5-star chef.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's like, it's no different than me saying, I could do that.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
do it. I mean, I know I cook rice roni at home all the time. I can
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
what they do.
Mhm.
I don't know what I don't know. So there's a whole lot of things on this planet I don't know about. NLP and metaphysics, human psychology, that is something I know about. And the thing is, beliefs, they don't believe. Most people don't recognize all a belief is some story that you've been telling yourself for a long time. That's
Yeah.
all it is. And
Yeah.
so if you want to subscribe to your story, go ahead. But one thing a mentor once told me is when you think you know everything, you can't learn anything. So
Yeah.
go ahead, keep your belief. I don't care if you don't believe. I know it does. Look what it did for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely. No, that's a very good point. And yeah, I mean, all these things are basically just stories that are repeated in our heads, and we
yes.
can we can control those stories. Now let's talk about basic instruction, because one of the previous conversations we had, you really put this in perspective, because these things are very, it's not easy to grasp these. You had a flash of inspiration, you found the book, but most people do not get it even after hard efforts. And you came up with a very simple concept, basic instruction.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. How do you take all these esoteric ideas, really heavy ideas, and sort of boil it down so that everybody can get it?
All right. There's 4 steps. A lot of times what we're looking for in our careers, in our lives, in our physical health, in our relationship with our higher power, whatever area of life you're working in, what you're looking for is fulfillment. You're looking to get fulfillment. You're looking to become empowered. And
Mhm.
empowered is a word that gets thrown around a lot in personal development since I work in this field. Empowered just means a feeling of control over my world in the present and my results going forward.
Mhm.
It's just a feeling. It's a feeling. So how do we become empowered? There's four requisites that
Mhm.
any person, if they follow these 4 requisites, getting exactly what you want is not only will I say it's possible, it's inevitable, because it's
Mhm.
the same 4 basic instructions I follow. Basic instruction number 1: let go of the past.
Mhm.
And this is a concept that people say, oh yeah, I let it go. Mm, think about this. If any mistakes that you made in the past are coming up in your mind now, if anybody who ever hurt you from the moment you were born all through your schooling years, any divorce you had, if any of that stuff, when you think about it, it still hurts that you didn't let it go.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
still, you're letting people live in your head rent free. A lot of times, what we do is we focus on the past experiences, and we start to, because we tell the story about how things went in the past. We're constantly telling ourselves this, so we anticipate that if we make another attempt, that's what's going to happen. But that's not true. It's just you keep telling yourself that story. One of my main people that I've studied to develop basic instructions, and I import this on a lot of clients that I work with. One of the main people that I study is Andrew Carnegie, who at one point was the richest man that ever lived. And so he wrote The Gospel of Wealth in 1908. Love that book. And he said the number one requisite to have the type of success that he had, the richest man in the world, number one requisite, emotional discipline. And he talks extensively about letting go of the past. And I'll try to quote, but I'll paraphrase as best I can. And what he said about the basic instruction number one, letting go of the past, is we must close the door on the past and lock it tight. The issue with most people is not only do they not close the door, but they stand in the doorway facing the past.
Exactly.
And when you're facing the past, how on earth are you going to move any steps towards your future if you're constantly thinking about the people the business partner who you think wronged you, the ex-spouse who took your dignity, the people who made fun of you back? Those things are not helpful. So we got to get all of that out. Any beliefs that you have about yourself, it's what I call limiting beliefs greatest hits. And then people say, okay, well, if this is all this stuff is in the subconscious or unconscious mind, how do I know what to let go? How do I know when there's a problem there? I said, it's easy. Listen to that self-talk. Limiting beliefs greatest hits. Everybody knows the lyrics. It's when that story starts in your mind, it's going round and round like a vinyl record, obsessing. And then the lyrics start. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. That's limiting beliefs greatest hits. And that is another one of those things, limiting decisions and limiting beliefs about yourself that has to be let go before we can get into basic instruction number two. And basic instruction number two, now that we've let go of the past, no more fear, no more anxiety, no more doubting myself. Now I'm feeling clear. Now basic instruction number two, deciding your specific desired outcome. And the thing is, I say specific. You got to know exactly what you want. This kid from Pittsburgh knew exactly what he wanted. You got to know exactly what you want. And you can't make that decision with the past still hanging around. Because those old emotions, let's say you have a lot of fear built up in the unconscious mind. It creates what I call an unconscious emotional filter through which you see your world. And so you're basically seeing the world, because I have so much fear, I feel anxiety, I see my world as something to be afraid of, believing that those things are making me feel that way, but really I'm seeing it because that's how I feel. That's why I see it that way. So when you think about what you want in the future, if you got this fear filter up, you're going to make that decision through that filter. And so because you're afraid, what you want may be up here, right? But that doubt will make you set the goal lower. And then what happens is you hit the goal and you feel disappointed. See, I knew it wasn't going to help anything. And then the cycle just repeats over and over. So you let go of the past so that there's no limiting beliefs, no emotions, no fear, no anger, nothing holding you back. Then decide what you want. And that way, there's nothing holding you back from basic instruction number three, which is take the necessary actions to bring that into real life. Is you're going to have to do something in order to make this happen. And so you want to make sure that your emotions are all positive as you go along this journey. Your view is optimistic. It's beyond hopeful. You're certain, you're going to do it. And once you believe that, shut out the rest of the world. Any naysayers, anybody who doesn't believe this mumbo jumbo, well, good. It's not your life. If I got shot, do you feel the bullet? No. So then I don't care if you believe it or not. Stick to your belief and take the necessary actions in conjunction with this specific result, however long it's going to take. And when I say however long it's going to take, that brings you to basic instruction number four. Focus until. And a lot of people, I imagine, were wondering, focus until what? Focus until your specific desired result is your reality. And that's it. Let go of the past, decide what you want, take the actions that'll get you there, and keep taking those actions. Remain focused until you get your result. And if you do that, you can have anything in this world. Nothing can stop you.
Amazing. That's wonderful. And as you have rightly branded it, basic instruction, because a lot of people talk about this stuff. It's very complicated, but I think you've broken it down very simply. And I feel like, in my experience, the last two instructions are where people get jammed up. But I think even the first one is very, very difficult for people to actually let go of the past.
I think, you know what? I'll say you're right and you're wrong, but you're
Mm-hmm,
right.
mm-hmm,
And here's what it is. It takes me to the Wizard of Oz. And
mm-hmm.
we've all seen, everyone's seen the Wizard of Oz. You know, I live here. I've been here in Kansas City about 4 years. I have met
Yeah,
people here who haven't seen it, which is strange.
yeah.
But most people have seen Wizard of Oz. And so
Mhm.
without getting into, since we've seen the whole story, I'll keep it short.
Yeah, yeah,
You realize that Dorothy believed she was in a crisis that she couldn't overcome.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't get home. I can't get the kid. I just want to go home. I don't want to deal with this ugly green lady. I'm not into short men. I just want to go home. I
yeah.
don't want any of this. Believing she didn't have the ability herself to get that desired result, she started asking everyone else, what should I
Mhm.
do? Where should I go? Follow the yellow brick road. Go see the wizard. If anybody can help you get exactly what you want, this is the guy. If anybody can help you, I promise you, this guy can do it. He can do anything.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
since she believes she can't do it, she's like, I guess I should listen to what everyone's telling me and just go down the yellow brick road. So she heads down the yellow brick road. She met those three characters. First one doesn't think he's smart enough. Second one doesn't think he's tough enough or has the heart. Third one doesn't think he has the courage. So with this
yeah,
thinking, they all head down the yellow brick
yeah,
road.
yeah.
Overcoming all these obstacles, Dorothy overcame a lot of stuff. Trees came alive, flying monkeys, no problem. She got past that to get to what she believed was the solution, the wizard, only to find out what? There's no wizard.
Mhm, mhm,
And so,
mhm.
Dorothy, if you want this result, it's on you. You're going to have to take the necessary actions to get what you want. And so she's thinking, why is this so hard?
Yeah, yeah.
Why is this? I don't want that much. I just want to go home. Why does this have to? Am I stuck in this situation? But you got to remember at the beginning of the crisis, what was that ugly green lady yelling at her about? Why would she keep focused on the shoes?
Mm.
Because Dorothy had the shoes the whole time, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You realize now it wasn't until somebody gave them the basic instructions
Mm.
that she realized how simple it is to have what you want. So letting go of the past is simple. And if you want to be right, go ahead and argue with me and write me off. I don't care.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if you're curious as to what are the basic instructions to let go of that pain, then you need to reach out to me because it is easy and I can give you the basic instructions to do it.
yeah.
But as long as see the problem, Anuja, is people a lot of times would rather be right than happy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that is so true. That is so true. That is so true.
So they'll just keep saying it's hard and
Mm.
then wonder why they can't get the result. Well, it's because
Yeah,
you keep telling yourself this story. So
exactly. Now, this is amazing. So, you are obviously doing a lot of good work, coaching people, mentoring people. So, and this last point as well, you brought up that until and unless somebody points out the powers that you have, sometimes it is difficult for us to see them ourselves, right? So, tell us what are the rule what is the role of a coach or a mentor in your life or people you coach? Because I think people do not value or do not understand the value of a coach or a mentor. So, can you shed some light on that?
yeah, to me, a lot of times people will ask, coming out of football, why you're not coaching football or in the broadcast booth, teaching other people and showing other people what I used to do.
Mhm.
But I am doing teaching people what I used to do because remember, I started with NLP as a freshman in
Yeah,
college, and
yeah,
this really is what brought me all the success in football.
yeah,
So this is very much the same. And when you think about sports, I always think about as an offensive lineman, thinking about playing in the NFL. I played center. If I walk up to the line of scrimmage, I'm on offense, we're running a play. If there's a defensive lineman in front of me, I can see him because my focus is right here.
mhm,
The middle linebacker might be a little bit this way or a little that way, but I can see him because my focus right here. And the
mhm,
safeties moving around in the secondary, I can see them both because they're both right here. But in this moment, when I'm down on the line of scrimmage, there's a whole lot of things happening around me I can't see. So, like the quarterback and the running back, are they lined up properly? I don't know.
mhm.
I know how it's supposed to look, but my focus is right here.
Yeah,
There's a receiver over there may be a corner over there, but I can't see him because he's not right here.
yeah,
There's only one place in the whole stadium where you can see everything. It's the press box.
Yeah.
That's why there's a coach up there.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see the quarterback on the sideline, it's probably after a drive that didn't go so well. And he's saying, hey, I don't know what's going on. What happened? Why didn't that work?
Yeah.
The coach is in your press box to point out your blind spots, give you a broader picture of why things aren't working the way you want them to.
Yeah.
So that we can make adjustments. And the next time we go out there, it's a lot easier to get this ball in the end zone and get that touchdown.
Yeah.
So understand that all of us, you, me, everybody, we're on the line of scrimmage of our life. And you can't see, you can only see what's in front of you in the moment, not realizing that there's a much broader picture and there are things happening in your world that are affecting your results that maybe you're not aware of. Just like Coach Cower said, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so if you insist on being right, if you insist on saying, you know this person's hurt, it's their fault, then you're going to continue to suffer. And let me just add that you're choosing to suffer simply because having somebody to point out the way you could easily get your result, but you want to keep banging a square peg in a round hole. Well, then you're going to continue to suffer and you're going to feel as if you're failing. When you're not failing, you just need the basic instructions, just like Dorothy did. Here's the instructions, click 3 times, get your result.
Yeah.
That's literally what I learned at a young age from Dr. Tad James, his son, Dr. Matt James, who's my teacher and mentor now. And there are things that most people don't know. And it goes back to because they want to believe their story. What if your story's not right?
Absolutely.
So that's really what it comes down to.
Great. No, this is amazing, and thank you so much for sharing the Wizard of Oz's story as well. Because I was hoping you will bring it up because it sort of helps people relate to what is going on in their life as well and understand some of these concepts. So thank you so much for being with us today. Now, before I let you go, can you tell us if people want to connect with you, they want to learn from you, how do they get in touch with you?
The website, basicinstructions.com. Remember, there are 4 basic instructions, so it's plural, basicinstructions.com. Also, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. My name's is spelled in a unique way, so you're not going to find somebody else with that name.
Awesome.
You might find a fan page, but I haven't found it, so I don't think you will.
Great.
But, to me, social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, basicinstructions.com.
Awesome. We'll put those links in the show notes. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.